I want to do like a full improv speech because I often think and kind of fantasize in a way about being requested and invited to speak into a large group of people, an audience of over 100 or so, or probably over 30 or so. But the point being, the audience would probably be either people in sales now that I'm in sales and I feel like I've become a lot more knowledgeable than I was before. Not saying I'm a phenomenal killer or I'm a genius or this or that, but I know a lot more than I did before, and I feel like I'm a better teacher than most people are. And I just love the idea and the dream of speaking in front of people. And so it's either people in sales or it's college students. I feel like those are the two groups of people that I can help the most. If you asked me this probably 4 years ago, it would probably be a speech or a conversation around League of Legends because that's what I was doing at the time and what I was really good at. And so the correlation behind all these different groups is speaking on things that I'm familiar with because I want to be able to walk the walk before talking the talk because I feel like that is the right way to do it. And if you really do want to provide value to your audience, that's how you'll do it. The hard part, though, is everyone starts from somewhere. And so I know there is a very bad connotation around this 18-year-old or this 21-year-old or 23-year-old who is a life coach because they have yet to experience life. And it ties into this idea that people are trying to be educators when they have not done it yet. So, because there's two forms of content, there's the entertainment side, which is a little bit more flexible because you don't have to meet any requirements. You can be any age and try to be a funny entertainer. But in terms of the education side, it's not necessarily about age, but it's about information and it's about experience. And it's hard to have experience. It's harder to have experience when you are on the younger side. And so there's that correlation. And there's truth behind that 18-year-old who's trying to be a life coach. So then what would you tell him? Would you tell him to wait 10 years before becoming a content creator or a life coach or to make any content in general? No, because that would be ridiculous. That would kind of cancel out the idea that people cannot create YouTube videos and create content before the age of 30 or before the age of 25. But look at people like Mr. Beast, there's so many others. I know Mr. Beast is more entertainment. But the point being is that there's a way, if you want to create content being educational, there's a way that I heard that makes the most sense to me. And it's talking about things from a I perspective versus a you perspective. A lot of people will try, a lot of the rookie mistake, right, that I hear people making and that I'm trying to avoid myself when starting this journey. Like I said, I am also in that stage where I'm so early on and I lack experience in certain areas. So it makes it hard to create content. But the goal is to create content earlier versus later because like most things it compounds over time like money and like interest. So when doing an educational, you speak from an I perspective instead of you. And this is hard because when you speak like you should do this, here's how you can achieve X goal in 5 ways, or here are 5 ways or 3 ways that you can blah blah blah. And it's all this how to and how you should, that it makes the creator believe that they're establishing credibility. Because in a way, you are claiming credibility when you speak from a here's how to, here's how you should, and here's what you should do. It's like the creator is telling you what to do. And if you have that experience and you have that evidence to back it up and the accomplishments to back it up and the accolades, then yeah, maybe it is a good idea because it does build credibility. That's why you'll see in a lot of YouTube videos or a lot of content in general, people will say, I achieved X goal, I have X accomplishments, I've done this many times, and here's why you should listen. Because it builds that credibility. Because the answer that you have to solve to your audience is, why should I listen to you? Or if you're in sales, why should I buy from you? And so, what makes you different? Where is your credibility? Because with credibility, it gives the audience someone they can trust. And trust is so important because when they trust you, because we live in the information age where there's so many, it's so easy to publish a book. It's so easy to create a YouTube video and claim to know X things or to have done X things so that you can sell people your stuff. So trust is so important. And the way you build, and when someone trusts you, it's easier for them to say, I trust this person. I can listen to like 95% of the things this person says without having to filter it through our mind because we're in the information age. Learning to discern is I think, one of the hardest skills and one of the most important skills to learn in this day and age is because if we have all this information out there, there is no good in having all the information when half of it contradicts with the other half. And the fact that we can't even really absorb all of it because our brain can only store so much. And that's why when people study for exams and people fail and people get F's and D's because memorizing isn't as easy for some as it is for others. But that's a whole nother conversation. So creating from the how I perspective, it's like, here's what I did. So like I had coffee this morning, or I had Pequod's deep dish pizza this morning. You cannot say I didn't. And even if you did, you just be wrong. And there's no need for me to argue that because that's the truth. I stated the facts. I stated what I did. So when you state what you did and you talk about what you did, you can talk about what you did and you can talk about what outcome you got, and you don't claim that as credibility. You say, this is what I did. I entered sales in 2 years. I achieved X quota and made X amount of money. That's what worked for me. I hope it serves you. I hope it helps you. And if it doesn't, no sweat. When you create content like that, then Alex Hormozi says you become bulletproof because you're stating the facts and you're speaking the truth, and no one can deny or argue against it. Because just because it worked for me, you're acknowledging that just because it worked for me doesn't mean it might work for you. And it's up to you to discern that. But I just want to provide you a story, a true story. I want to provide you an example, and I want to provide you some information. And I think the information is going to be valuable and informative and provide value to you. But if it doesn't, no sweat, because I'm not promising you anything. And so in that way, you kind of do become bulletproof. And I know it's hard to create content without credibility, or I should say it's easier to create content with credibility because Elon Musk can send a tweet on, I was gonna say Twitter, but now X, and say, I took a poop this morning. And then, the comments would be like, ha ha ha, so funny. Or it would get thousands and thousands of comments, hundreds of thousands, or 100,000 likes or retweets or whatever. But if you do it, what do you get? Probably nothing. Probably zero, especially if you're just starting out like me. And so it's less about what you say. So obviously you probably thought I was gonna say it's more about how you say it, but it's actually about what you've done. Because Elon Musk, he built Tesla, right? He bought out X. And so he has all these accomplishments and we know who he is. He has created a brand for himself. And this is why I am so obsessed with branding right now, personal branding, because not only do we have to look so far down the line that it's about money and it's about status and it's about fame and it's even about the influence to sell people, but it's also a way that you can get your name out there and that you can, and I actually learned this word like less than a year ago. It's becoming a thought leader, because I remember someone asked me if, like, are you trying to become a thought leader? Like, is that why you started posting on LinkedIn? And I didn't really know what that meant. And so I went back to my seat, my computer, and I Googled it. And then I thought about it. And I was like, I guess I am. I am trying to speak because I once heard this saying that if you do not communicate, then you do not exist. And that the cost of having impact, like on a larger scale, is fame, is publicity, right? I used to think that I did not want to be on social media. I did not want to be known. I did not want to be famous. I just wanted to be a turtle, live under a rock, and just live life my way. But then I really thought about it, and it's the impact that I want to have on other people's lives, the amount of people that I want to reach and help. And I want to help people get out of their dark spaces and to get further ahead than where they currently are, and to help them achieve their goals and to achieve peace and happiness. I mean, that's a longer topic, right? Happiness is a fleeting emotion. Fulfillment is something that Ed Milet talks about. But in general, I just want to help people. And I realize that the cost of wanting to help people, help more people, and to have a greater impact means that I had to get on social media and I had to start building my personal brand. But like I said, all this is further down the road. At the very least, what you do in trying to become a thought leader or creating a personal brand is that on LinkedIn, because that's the platform that I mainly use, is you make yourself more visible to employers and you build your network and your connections. And you once heard that your network is your net worth. And there's some truth in that because the people you know can open doors and can open opportunities for you, just like you can do for others. I remember a teacher once told me, or a professor once told me that, or someone once said, be nice to everyone you meet because you never know what happens. Or you hear that saying, never burn a bridge, because who knows, that person that you were mean to in middle school, or that person that you were mean to in high school or college, or that person that you cut in line or were rude to at Chipotle, that person can be the one that hires you or fires you. That person can be the one that knows a guy that can change your life or that they can change your life. You never really know. And so that's one of the benefits that I see in building a personal brand. And I used to identify with someone who was really introverted, shy, and just not a great communicator. And even antisocial, if you will. But then I wanted to work on that. And I feel like creating my personal brand and creating podcasts and just speaking improves my ability to communicate. And I used to listen to motivational speakers all the time. It used to be the equivalent to other people's musics when they plug in their headphones and walk to school. I would plug in my headphones on the YouTube app, and I can't shut off the screen because I don't have YouTube Premium. But I would play motivational videos because I was just in a really dark place when I was in, I think, high school or late middle school. And so, like, that's what I would do. And then I eventually fell in love with this idea of motivational speeches and just TED Talks. And then in college, I was actually had to do presentations and public speaking and professional development courses. And I just fell more and more in love with speaking and with communication because I eventually realized on top of that that relationships are everything and that communication plays a huge part in all your relationships, both personal and professional, to your friends, to your families, to your spouse, to your significant other, to your employers, to your colleagues, to your associates, to everyone. And so being able to work on my communication skills and to be in sales, I feel like I'm headed down the direction in which I can stay in sales. I can become a manager and follow the degree that I pursued, which was management, because the reason I pursued management was because I did not want to take the route and become a teacher. I felt like teachers were more nurturers than educators and teachers. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. What I mean, because I think that's a phenomenal skill. I don't think most people can do it. Most people don't have the patience and the kindness to care about the little ones. And so I'm not speaking down on them at all. And in fact, there are a lot of teachers. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today without the teachers and professors that I've had. Don't get me wrong. I just thought it wasn't for me. I wanted to pursue the role in business in management, and I thought that I wanted to manage a team and to lead a team and to be in a position of leadership. And so all of that is a little unknown. But where I am today is I know I want to become a masterful communicator after the past year and after speaking to my speech pathologist who made a bold claim that I'm already on my way to doing so. And so to see how far I've come and to see where I am today, it's more of a motivation and inspiration to me to want to become a masterful communicator. And so that is also one of the huge benefits in building a personal brand. And that's something I'm very passionate about. And I try to follow the things that I hear in terms of the how I versus how to. And so let's get right into it and talk about. I am right now on, I don't want to say the date. This is 2024 though. And my name is Jackie. I am 24 years old and I am in sales. And I'm going to be hitting 2 years in sales as of May of 2024. And I remember it like it was yesterday because on May 9th, on a Monday, I started my first real big boy job into sales. And I remember like it was yesterday because 2 days before May 9th, on May 7th, that's when I walked on the stage and graduated from UIC. And so it was a memorable moment where I graduated on a Saturday and then started working 2 days later. And happy to say that I'm not burnt out and that I'm good and that things are going pretty well. And I just want to be able to share everything that I've learned over my lifetime before I pass away inevitably without getting too dark, because the truth is I believe that, and I you can see it as a negative thing, but I think in a lot of ways it is very positive. I think Gary V even says that he thinks about it a lot or all the time, is that we all could die tomorrow. Someone we know and love can die tomorrow, and that's what makes life so precious. Is because it's limited. If we knew we were going to live forever, then things wouldn't be as cherished. And it's the great reminder to be appreciative and to be grateful for what we have. And gratitude, Gary loves this. Gary, gratitude is gratitude is everything, man. It is the one thing that'll work for everyone. I once heard this thing that has always stuck with me, and it's be kind to yourself. Treat yourself like you would treat others. Like you would treat someone you love. Treat yourself like you would treat someone you love. So think about a person in your life that you absolutely love. I'm willing to bet that you speak kindly to them and that you show your love towards them through your actions, through your words, and just through the things you do. And what if you treated yourself like that too? How would your life change? Although I've already long become someone who is anti against people being mean to other people and like really hurting their feelings, right? I get a little banter is fine, but really like bullying someone or making someone feel like shit, I am heavily against that. And I that's been obvious, but something that hasn't been obvious until like I guess recently is when people speak negatively to themselves or are mean to themselves, I'll stop them. I'll interrupt them. And I'll tell them, and I'll ask them that question to really make them think about it, because I feel like that is the true essence of learning, and it's the way we learn. It's through internalizing the answer for ourselves, and that's why when we're in school, the teachers or the people will say, "Don't give them the answer. Give them time to think, and let them answer." Because when they internalize it themselves, it sticks because it comes from within. It comes from them instead of you. And so if we realize that, and we also realize that we're in the information age, and people love entertainment more than they do education in general. Like if we look at the overall population, that is the reason why there's more entertainment content than educational content. People love entertainment. Entertainment is valued higher. That's why you look at sports, you look at movies. That's why people are paid so much. Versus, we can look at the educators, we can look at teachers, the TED talkers, the educational YouTubers. Sure, there are some people that are making a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but for the majority, the entertainment space is king. They hold the throne. And so learning to borrow the skill set of entertainment into the education space, like storytelling, like jokes, like analogies and examples and real life examples, or making it conversational and interactive and doing a back and forth instead of a lecture, death by PowerPoint. Those are things that we're borrowing from the entertainment space. And I think making education more entertaining and then asking questions to allow people to internalize it themselves, I feel like that is the future of education. And so this really ties into my ultimate goal, and my ultimate dream is to have the greatest amount of impact that I can on the people in this world. And I realized building a personal brand and paying the price of being known and paying the price of having to communicate constantly and to create content on social media, that's the cost of having an impact, of having the amount of impact that I want to have. And then another thing that helps though is I always wonder, like, what if I pass tomorrow? What if I die tomorrow? At least I'll have some content out there that people can look at, that people can read and look back to and remember me. And although I know people move on with their lives, and as sad as it is to say, you will be forgotten, it helps me to know that I'm at least getting a message out there. If I can help a single person after my death, I think that's worth it. And I think that, and I listen to Gary obviously a lot. Gary Vee says, if a lot of people started thinking more about their legacy, I think their actions would change a lot. And the actions would change in such a good way because people would then care about their reputation. And I think it's actually a really good thing. If everyone started caring about the reputation, then they'd lie less. They'd be rude less. They'd be mean less. And they would do more good things. They would deposit more goodwill to their audience and to people they know. They would give more. They would give first. And now I want to transition this into the idea of giving first, because this is something I love. When I first learned it and when I'm continuing to see it, I love this. Give first, because when you give, you do actually get. And it's easier to say and it's harder to believe. But for those of you who know, you know. If you know, you know. The art of reciprocity is insane how it works. And I guess I'm not an expert in psychology, but it's my understanding that humans, when they receive value from other people, they feel the need to give back. It might just be intrinsic to our human DNA or human brains. I don't really know. Or maybe it's been built into us from childhood. Um, but it's crazy that you can give. I'm not saying you're going to get back from every single person you give to, but in the long run, you actually get more than you give. And it is just the most wild thing to me. It's the reason why companies will give free trials, will give free samples. That's why Costco always does free samples, right? You get them hooked. Uh, Free trials on Amazon, on Spotify, on Apple Music, and probably a lot more other streaming services like Netflix and Disney Plus. And like I said, giving free samples and in sales, giving gifts to clients or giving gifts to your teacher when you were a kid. Um, or I wonder if this actually works with parents giving to their kids and their kids eventually giving back when they're older. Huh. I'm thinking about it. I'm not really sure. Not there yet. But I think it's just a crazy phenomenon. So, like, if you're debating on giving something to someone or providing value or being kind, a gesture of goodwill, do it and then expect nothing out of it and just watch what happens. Well, when I say watch what happens, I don't. I feel like I'm telling you to expect you're gonna get something back. That's not the case. I don't want you to expect to get it back, but just trust in the rule. You know, if you're religious, then it's not any different than believing in. Well, I don't want to step into territory, but just have belief, have some faith that when you give, you will get. And I think it's just a crazy thing. I can't, there's not much more else to say. I feel like if you know, you know. If you haven't, if you haven't experienced it, then maybe give it a longer shot, give it more shots and see what happens. Oh, I wish I knew this when I was younger. I remember hearing about this and now like it seems so obvious, but I was like, holy cow, I never even thought about it like that. Giving gum or giving candy to your students, to your peers when you're in school, when you're younger, or middle school, or high school, whatever it is, the simple act of giving someone a piece of gum that costs you basically nothing, or some Skittles or some candy, or letting them borrow a pencil, doing these small acts of kindness, these small gestures, it goes a long way. And so try it. I hope that helps. Maybe try it out. Maybe don't. Up to you. Anyways, have a good one. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.